Okay, so from there I just unpinned everything. I took all the pins out of the darts, all the pins out of the side seam, center, front, and I'm basically laying the piece of fabric or the piece of muslin out on the table like paper. Pretty much really flat. Even if you want to have it super, super flat, like if it got wrinkled from draping or anything, you can iron it if you want, but it's really not necessary, I don't think. Okay, so now we have the basic shape. It's starting to look like the front of your shirt, right? So that's good. Good sign. You might see that some of the sides are a little bit, you know, off, which is perfectly normal, especially since the dress form is not really legit. So, for instance, this armhole looks a little higher than this one. This one looks way too low, so I think I want to mirror this side because I think that one's more accurate. And I want to create a side seam that lines up with that. Okay, so from there you want to like erase your old line so you don't get confused. Okay. Yeah, so that's starting to look better. Okay. And let's see. And you see how this line kind of bends a little bit. You want it to, it's going to be a slight curve, but you don't want it to be really jagged and like that because it's not really accurate. That's not how you want it to look. So you just want to smooth any lines that look really sketchy or jagged because otherwise your side seam is going to come out the same. It's going to come out jagged as well. So let's go back in. I'm just smoothing it out. And you don't need like usually you could use like a hip curve too, which is a fashion ruler and it has like curved lines or a French curve. But I personally just like to eyeball it. Okay. And then now I'm going to just smooth this line out so I can see it more clearly, make it really perpendicular with center front. And see how it's off a little bit on this side? It's probably because the form kept tilting. So what you want to do is, now that I feel like this side is really accurate, I'm just going to do the same thing on this side. So I'm going to blend this line over here to this side and make it even. And then I'm going to smooth the side seam line. Okay, and try and get it as similar to the other side as you can. That looks pretty good. Okay. This looks like... So it's really like a lot of going back and forth and trying to get it as accurate as possible. So usually if you just use a straight pattern for this, you know, it'll have all the markings and stuff for you, so it usually makes the sewing process a little quicker. I'm smoothing out the neckline to match it to the other side. But I really wanted the students to understand how pattern makers form a pattern. How do they find like the shaping of the garment, you know, how do they take it from the shape of the body to creating a pattern. So I think it's important going from 3D to 2D and now 2D back to 3D. Okay, so now that I smooth those out, it looks pretty good. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the darts. So now see how the darts look a lot like footballs? I like to call them footballs, but they're really called fisheye darts because they're shaped like a fisheye kind of. So now I'm just going to make a point where I want the 2 points to be tapered to, and it looks like they're lined up pretty well, which is great because I used my judgment, so it was pretty good. And you can even use a ruler to line them up too. So if you just make it perpendicular with center front the ruler and line it up and see if it's lined up, which it looks like this one. Let's see, looks like this one needs to be a little higher. Okay, and then do the same thing down here. This one needs to be brought up a little more. Okay. So that's what you want to do. And now that I had to make the ones on this side a little bit higher, so I'm just going to reshape it a little. So I just want to make the lines really as clean as I can. So it's almost like connecting the dots in a way. So I'm going to taper it off to that new dot that I just made. So it's important to have like a really sharp pencil too, not too sharp where it's getting caught in the fabric as you draw, but sharp enough to get like a really straight line. Okay, so now I want to just clean up this side too, make sure it's the same as the left. So if it helps, if you feel like you want to reshape like one side first and then later on copy the one side to match this side, that's perfectly fine. I actually think that's a good idea. So then you're not overwhelmed like, oh, well, this side looks like it needs to be brought up and this side looks different, and you know, I think it's a good idea to start off with maybe the left side, making it look really clean, and then you have a point of reference for changing the right side and keeping it the same. Okay, so we're on our way to making our pattern. So now we have, everything looks pretty even, looks pretty clean. You want to make center front really straight too, because it looks like it kind of went off to the side. Okay, so you want to go back and make that really straight. Let's see if that's in the middle. I want to make sure that the fabric's not rippling underneath. Okay, so this is where it's important to use a different color too. Like you could use red or blue or something that'll stand out. Okay. Alrighty. So this looks pretty good. So now from here, you have the basic, this is what they call a sloper. So that's taking, a sloper is basically like the exact shape of what the garment is going to be without seam allowance. Now seam allowance is the extra excess fabric that you're going to account for when sewing, and you're going to calculate that in your pattern beforehand. So then, because if I want to go sew the pattern from here, first of all, it's not a pattern, it's a sloper. If I want to go sew the sloper, then you would have something that's too small, and then you would be disappointed because you wouldn't be able to put it on. So from here, we're going to put a 1/2 inch seam allowance around the whole thing. So it's basically like making an outline a 1/2 inch away from the line you just made, the outside line of the whole garment. So around the armhole, around the shoulder, the neckline, the hem, the side seams, all those. You want to outline everything a 1/2 inch. So from there, I just want to mark 1/2 inch is about here. Okay, so then I want to make a straight line for the shoulder. Okay, and this looks like it's kind of curved, so I'm going to straighten that out. And then you want to do, it looks like my shoulders need to be lined up too. Okay. So now you just want to do the same thing everywhere pretty much. It has to be as even as you can get it. It won't work out like the shape of your garment will be distorted if somewhere the seam allowance is smaller than a 1/2 inch. Like if you have a 1/2 inch around the armhole on one side and then a 1/4 inch somewhere else, it's going to get totally messed up. So you want to make sure it's even all around. It's really important. Seems like I'm being a stickler, but it's very important.